No,
I might still have that in my email somewhere.
I mean, you guys are talking about having some type of post-production type of quality added to this broadcast, but this is about as bare bones as it gets. I mean, 'cause I got you guys patched in via Skype, broadcasting on a console, and then just winging it as we go. So, again, not bad for episode 001. This is it. We did it, fam. Open forum episode 001. Major pancakes. Everybody's favorite tweet hero, Dre, and EddieMac. So, again, the purpose of the podcast is just to chat. Open forum style, anything and everything goes. Today's gameplay footage is brought to you unofficially by Destiny 2. Curse of Osiris Expansion 1 just released this past Tuesday, and I'm trying to catch up to all my hardcore Dads of Destiny clan members. So if you're watching, you will see gameplay footage of me hammering and grinding away. But Ed,
what's this Destiny? That sounds like the name of a stripper.
I'm sure it's the name of many a strippers across the planet. It seems like a popular name. But Destiny 2 is actually a very popular, it's kind of the first of its kind. It's a massive multiplayer, semi-role-playing game shooter. It's kind of blending. It's a lot of different gameplay styles or game genres into one. A lot of people seem to dig it, and I seem to dig it as well. So we'll probably see footage of me playing this until I get complaints or someone says something otherwise. But
well, now that you're on the topic, just what is the game about? Is this like Halo? Is this like...
It's funny you bring up Halo. It is actually the original game developers of Halo that created this franchise, this IP, this brand new universe. Think of it as Star Wars meets Guardians of the Galaxy meets Lord of the Rings all in one. It's a really futuristic sci-fi story. I mean, storytelling for games is typically not as strong as just watching a movie or even reading a good book. But Bungie...
depends on the game you're playing.
Correct. There are exceptions. There's actually, I would say, maybe a exception to this point.
Because you go anything from, like, Naughty Dog, for example, and you're going to get, like, super compelling, very emotionally gripping, like, storytelling that's on par or even better with, some of the top movies you see in the box office nowadays.
I'd agree with that. I'd say that the game you're referring to, well, depends which game of Naughty Dog, right? Like, they're well known for
the Last of Us, for starters. It's a good jump off point, just for that. I mean, that had like one of the most just immersive like stories I think ever told in a video game before. I mean, there's not very many games I've played through start to finish 3 times or more, and that was one that I did. I mean, the story was that good to play through each time.
It's called Naughty Dog. So once again, we have some type of reference that goes with like strippers or what strippers emulate.
Apparently someone's trying to make it rain right now, aren't they?
And your mind's on strippers, but actually Naughty Dog's the name of the development company. So it'd be like Bungie. Naughty Dog's the development company. The games Dre is referring to is, well, their first game that was really a big hit was called Uncharted. Right?
One on PS Vita, so 5 total.
All right. But I would agree with Dre. Like, I mean, at the surface level, Ed, if you saw one of these Naughty Dog games and it was, say, the Uncharted, it's a B movie clone ripoff of Indiana Jones meets Tomb Raider, right?
Yep.
Plays kind of the same. It actually basic storytelling, but the characters are actually well done. Even though it might be a clone of that, they do a good job of getting the players immersed in that world and making you feel, the struggles and the stories that the characters are going through. So yes, I'd say that's correct. But there's another game. Jerry, would you say it's a post-apocalyptic kind of game?
I think you'd call that one like more of a post-pandemic, just because it's a virus outbreak that just kind of eliminates. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of the world gets taken up by this, but a huge portion of the world gets turn into this kind of a zombified person infected by the cordyceps virus, which is actually a real virus that attacks ants in the jungle or in the rainforests. So they kind of came up with this, this story plot that what if this would have happened to humans? And you see this whole huge journey of this guy named Joel and this young girl he's trying to protect named Ellie, going to the future wastelands, trying to find a cure for this disease.
So it's like all these games are inspiring me to want to play games. I mean, you hit on my bread and butter, things I gravitate toward for television. You have post-apocalyptic. You have Trey. What's the other one? Pandemic. Post-pandemic. I mean, these are solid words here. And you said Indiana Jones, and then you said Tomb Raider, which is probably one of the last role-playing games I've ever played before. So I don't know. You might in a couple months, I might be talking about how I spent 10 hours playing one of these games.
What is the last video game you played? And please don't tell me it was GoldenEye.
So it just matters on like what you talk about, like what genre type of game.
Anything on a console, not on your
phone. You're probably going back to EA Sports, college football, 2004.
Not Madden?
No, because I kind of got to the point where the college football games played a lot better than Madden. Their overall career mode or their franchise modes just were a lot better because you could play seasons and you could do recruiting of players versus Madden was only drafting. And after a while, that just was really boring to me. And then also back in the day, I don't know if it's like that now. The college football game actually had the better, I don't want to say user interface, but it actually had the look and the feel of the Madden of the next year. So it actually was ahead of the game. So yeah, I think like 2004 was the last time I was really immersed in playing a video game in my own house for hours of a time. I mean, beyond that, I mean, Dre was playing. It's almost like the proverbial friend that like sleeps on the couch, but instead of like sleeping on the couch overnight, it's just they show up and they say, "Hey, let's play video games. I don't have a console. You have a cool game." That's it. I don't really want to hang out. I just want to play video games with you. So it's been a while, 13 years.
I do for sure miss the old Guitar Hero days.
Is there anything out now that is even on that level?
Not in popularity, I wouldn't say. Like, I mean, they did release Rock Band 4 and Guitar Hero Live?
Yeah.
Which is basically for the newest console generation, but it did not have the effect of the fake plastic rock movement of the early 2000s or.
Well, I don't think it helps either that all they did was basically like take all the same catalogs that everyone's already played and just re-release them.
Yeah.
I mean, they had what, 7-8 years of new music they could have picked from, plus a whole bunch of other back catalogs that they could have used, and they used all the same songs you've already played.
Yeah, that's sad because I mean that game was huge with Guitar Hero, and then Rock Band. I didn't like Rock Band as much, even though it did integrate like the drum, but. I mean, it was really big. Everyone was playing it no matter what type of games you like or if you weren't even in games. So it's just sad, 10 years later that there's been no answer to that. It's like people hate music now.
Yeah, I think a big part of that, too, is I think it got oversaturated like really fast because, they were coming out with like, multiple add-ons like a year, Christian? You'd have like a Metallica add-on, then you'd have like a Van Halen add-on, you'd have
Green Day,
and all these other like costly add-ons you have to keep on buying every 6 months or so. Right. I think it just got it was too much too quick.
Well, maybe it was.
I think they should have just paced themselves a little better. They could have lasted longer.
We're blaming them right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't the music labels that somehow were able to get in the mix or limit these type of games on actually accessing new music or new libraries. They should have just partnered up with the Now folks, because I feel like that those Now CDs are probably on Now 250 now. So anything that's new, it's like, oh, you can get the new Lil Wayne. I don't even know if Lil Wayne's still making music, but
He shouldn't.
Well, it's funny you say that because licensing is a big issue. I do $300 or $400 just in music over like a 5-year span for those Rock Band games.
ballin'.
And when I got the new console and got Rock Band 4, yes, I got the new music that came along with it, but to get all those old songs that I purchased and spent, a few $100s on, it was a slow drip. Like they were working constantly on getting the licensing approved on it, so that way they can include it in a new game. I didn't have to pay anything extra, but I was waiting. For instance, like the Red Hot Chili Pepper tracks, I got 2 out of 10 that I had, and I had to wait even longer for to get 3 more, and I think there's still 2 missing. But licensing is
still to this day, like you don't have all the songs available.
Correct. Yeah, and it's still just a slow burn on getting the licensing approved. I'm sure if I wanted to pay for it again, I could get it right away. But since I'm relying that I paid, $1.99 or 99 cents, 7 or 8 years ago, and I want to take advantage of that, I gotta wait. So it's putting me in a situation: do I pay for convenience or just kind of wait it out and not play anything? So.
It makes you really miss the days of when you actually paid $60 for a game and everything that was coming out of the game was right there. And it wasn't like 10,000 microtransactions to have to invest in later to get the more fuller experience of the game.
That's a tricky subject for me, and I've kind of gotten into this, and I'm glad you brought it up because I kind of want to get into it too on a little bit deeper level. So, Dre knows about it. Ed, I'm not sure if you're all caught up on. There's been a big fiasco with what's called microtransactions in games. So there's a big Star Wars game that was released within the past few weeks or so, and it's a big deal. EA is the publishing company. I can't remember the developer. I think it's DICE, but they had these items in game that are basically locked. Either you can access them by either playing so many hours for a chance. It's not even guaranteed you get these items. Or you can pay to get increased chances to get certain items.
But we're not just talking about like 20, 30 hours there. We're talking like thousands of hours of time to invest in grinding into the game.
So I think mathematically, to have the best chances, you need to play at least, maybe 2,000 hours to...
I could have sworn, I think that the ultimate number I think I heard was like 4,596 hours of time you have to get invested in the grinding to unlock everything. Have like a full experience of the game.
Well, that's
right.
If Google just told me that's over 175 days.
So basically playing that game for a half a year straight, never stopping, would get you the full experience of the game.
Just think back in the day when you couldn't save games. Like, what if you played a game over and over again
entirety?
For and then
in one sit through.
Actually, it's not even the days when you couldn't save. The days like with PlayStation, you would have a memory card or whatever, and you would save it, but then there was an error or glitch after playing hours and hours of it, and you just were like, what? You just wanted to throw that memory card or throw your console. Just think if you played 166 days. That's half of a year. Wait, am I doing the math right? That's like half of a year that you invested. Oh, man. I mean, how many dates you could have gone on?
It's...
Well, guys that invest that much time in one game don't date very much, Ed.
Or they are also married and are just trying to escape from the daily grind of married life or parenthood or something.
They look like Cartman in that World of Warcraft episode of South Park.
Which episode would that be?
I can't think of the name. I'll look it up for you later.
Episode 250.
Oh, that's right. You guys took your long hiatus from South Park.
Well, Dre, to kind of go back to what you were saying, that we miss the days of where you buy a game, you get it all, you can complete it in its entirety, and not have to constantly shell out money. Well, just like with anything in the economy, right? There's inflation. The problem with games these days is games have been $60 since I can't even remember when. Since maybe the first PlayStation, or was it the second PlayStation?
No, I think it was when I want to say it was like PlayStation, like the PlayStation 3 and Xbox One generation when games went up to $60.
I remember paying
I
$60
think,
right?
for.
Was it for 360, right?
I mean, I
Yeah,
remember
ask your friend Google.
I remember paying $60 for. I feel like Mortal Kombat on Sega. I mean, you know the time when you beg your parents to take you to the store to get a video game because you're like, I have enough money saved, but you secretly know once you get to the cash register that you're probably $10 short, and they're gonna pay for it. So I remember having $50 for like Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam.
And that was the first game with blood that you were allowed to play.
Oh, ABACABB, Avacab.
That's the code to turn on the blood.
Okay, it's when the Xbox 360 was released in 2005. That's when the game point jumped up to 60.
What
So
it
that's
was
2005.
before? I mean, it couldn't have been that far off. Maybe I was wrong. Sega maybe was like $50, taking up inflation.
Yeah, 39 or $40.
I think they're 40. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I bring up that price and that time frame is games have gotten a lot more expensive to make. It's starting to almost follow the format of making big time movies, right? Big tentpole movies, they cost hundreds of millions to make, and then how much to market. These AAA games, depending how high quality you want your games, like those Naughty Dog games we were talking before, that takes a lot of money to make. But if games are constantly at $60 and you only have so many people playing, we'll never recoup the costs, and games will never improve in quality. It's kind of a catch-22. Like, what do you do? Like, as a player, do I mind paying a monthly fee? Like, what if games became a service and I started paying $10 a month like I do for Netflix, as long as I get to keep playing as many games as I want? Would that be acceptable?
If it's going to be for current titles, then yes, I think that's worth it. But if it's for, stuff that kind of, like right now, for example, Microsoft has like the new, what is it, Game Pass, I think they call it?
Yeah.
Which I want to say is like either 10 or 15 bucks a month, and you have access to about, I want to say 150 games or so. But I mean, if they're all going to be like, 4 or 5-year-old games, I mean, it's not really going to be worth it to me. I mean, if I can get current release games for maybe $15 a month, then, I might pay that.
Yeah, I think that's what I would be willing to do also, but I don't know. We're is we get mad when we have to pay things that we don't like paying, and we like to share how mad and outraged we are having to do that, and everyone likes to join in. So I don't know. It's I'm not sure what the answer is. I don't know what most people will respond. Like, we might complain about it now, but if it was offered to us, we'd be happy to take it.
Is gaming? I mean, is this really an industry that you make a lot of money? I mean, I guess that's the biggest question.
It's a growing industry because of the games as a service model. Like, everything you're seeing in the mobile space is games as a service model. That you get limited lives, timed play, unless you pay to play more. You might end up spending more than $60 on a mobile game that will literally take less resources and money to make than something like a console game like Destiny or a Naughty Dog game.
Yeah, hell, I'm guilty of dropping some pretty decent coin on like Candy Crush.
Oh, wow. Maybe Christian can edit that out afterwards. Are you talking about the pay to watch Mario Lopez host the show?
No.
That
No,
Candy Crush
I
Was
got
that
over my
canceled?
AC Slater crush a long time ago. So
That show had to be canceled.
I don't even know. I didn't catch a single episode of that. I just saw it advertised.
I don't remember that show even airing at all.
Maybe it was an online web series only. Hey, who's our fact checker tonight? You can go check that out.
I mean, I'm looking on Google right now. I mean, there's no. I mean, I haven't seen any episodes whatsoever.
Candy Crush premiered on July 9th, 2017. The 2-hour season 1 finale aired on September 2nd. So actually, they got a full season.
They had 9 episodes.
Who knew?
Do you have data on viewership and what kind of ratings you got?
Yeah, I do right now. Let's see. In the United States, the first episode that aired on July 9th got pretty much 4 million. And then 4.0. And then from there, it dropped to 2.8, 2.2, 2.4, 1.9. So it kind of staggered around that 1.9. And then the final episode on September 2nd, 2007, it aired Saturday night at 8 p.m., 1.9. And
bad. It's almost a 2.
Yeah, but I feel like they're stat padding though. This is a CBS show, so I'm sure they put it on their All Access app, and they're pulling in figures from there too. I mean, that's the model too. They don't have to worry about full ratings. They can pull it whenever they want to. But it looked like a complete dud. It looked like a broke Plinko ripoff. Actually, speaking of, there's like a new show that started that is a complete ripoff of Plinko, and it's on NBC.
What's it called?
Oh, The Wall, probably. I think it's like The Wall.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw a commercial for that like a few weeks ago.
And it's literally the same as Plinko. You just drop a chip in it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe not. No, The Wall was another show that aired in 2006, but I feel like that probably was a ripoff of Plinko, too. I don't know. These networks need to give up on primetime game shows. You are never going to beat Jeopardy. You're never going to beat Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Just give it a rest.
People still watch those?
Yeah, I mean, Vanna White, I think, Vanna White's about to collect Social Security pretty soon.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
But how does she look? Because remember when we were in our adolescent age, we saw Vanna White and we thought, hey, okay, I'd like her to host my show.
She's 6 years old now.
Yeah, Pat Sajak, he's 71.
She still looks the same.
No, she's starting to look her age. I mean, if I saw a 6-year-old that looked like her, okay. I mean,
for 6, she's not doing bad.
I don't know. I feel like it's
debatable.
I feel like she would be a country club hottie. What does that mean?
So you'd see her on the golf course?
You're like, hi.
Hey,
hello.
Club.
You want to go play
country
some
club or cougar club?
I don't even know what canasta is.
All I know is that older people play it. We're old ourselves.
Bridge, cribbage. What else can we talk about?
I wanted to bring up. So I just got back from Disneyland, Southern California.
Happiest place on earth.
Happiest place on earth, and it's always an interesting visit there. I mean, there's so many things to take in, and as an adult visiting Disneyland, I mean, sure, you can have fun, but I'm actually always in awe of how well they operate the entire park. I mean, if there's any kind of theme park experience, if you go to a theme park after going to Disneyland, you go, oh, this place is janky. Because you're used to Disneyland just being on top of it. For as many people as they have that come through those turnstiles every day, yes, there's long lines. Yes, you got to wait a lot. But we happily accept it because we know the experience at the end of the day is worth it. And Disney actually does a great job of masking things and masking a 40-minute wait by having you constantly moving in an extra long line. An unnecessarily long zigzagging line because you feel like at least we're moving for 40 minutes.
That's right.
Those little types of operational practices puts me at awe of how well they do things. One thing that was kind of neat though was, I don't know, this is something I'd never heard about before, but Disney holds a Christmas event called Candlelight. And you won't see it overly detailed or advertised to anybody. People in the park, if you're walking through, you just happen to see it. You see full seating for it. It looked like an outdoor concert event that was going to be televised. And all it is equivalent to a Christmas mass show, 45-minute show, where a choir comes in with candlelights and they sing Christmas carols, and then they have someone narrate a reading from the Bible, the birth of Christ. And it's something that we've seen growing up in church and going to Christmas Mass. We would see a condensed version, but Disney puts their production value, their production excellence into a show with full bells and whistles. And they use the entire park in plain view of anybody that's in the park. But if you want to get a seat at this event, it's entirely exclusive and you have to be invited. There's no way to buy tickets. We were there when I parked. Chris Hemsworth was in the house visiting it. And I think there's always a celebrity speaker, too, that narrates. I think Whoopi Goldberg was the narrator one night that we were there. But it's usually the first weekend in December every year. They have 4 performances over the weekend. It's a super kind of exclusive event that's almost considered a black tie affair.
So how does one get an invite to the candlelight processional?
And the word on the street is if you have to ask, how do I get an invite? You're not going to get an invite, or there's no need to even wonder because you're not going to get one. It's, I guess, the easiest way for
1% kind of thing.
I'm pretty sure it's probably like a friend of a friend, someone who worked on production of something, or
maybe some of the Disney family. So people like Hemsworth,
right?
Anyone who works at Disney.
Anyone who works for Disney. I mean, I think season pass holders have a chance at being invited, depending how long they've been season pass holders. It's supposed to be considered a tremendous honor to be invited to these things, again, for it being a black tie event. I mean, I'm sure you can probably get tickets just by knowing someone who knows someone that knows someone. But that's still a random shot that I can't just up or pay as much money as I wanted to go to this event. It's still that exclusive. So.
Yeah, I wonder, like, on the scale, when you compare this event to, say, Club 33, their exclusive restaurant. I would think that it would be a little tougher to get in because Club 33, realistic money, you can go through regional managers or the CTO or the CFO or the CEO to be able to
get membership.
Yeah, at least to get in just for like one night. I have a couple friends that they did it for just have dinner to be able to propose spouse. So that definitely made it the happiest place on earth. By getting proposed to in a swanky club inside of Disneyland. But yeah, this one's interesting because I've never heard of this. I've heard of the secret restaurants, but
Club 33. Well, that's what I heard too. Is like being part of Club 33 increases your chances of getting an invite to candlelight. But it sounds amazing. Like, I mean, especially for Disney because it has a strong religious twist on it, right? It's reading of the birth of Christ from a Bible, and for Disney, who tries to remain neutral, at least open to, all religions, for them to have a full-on production revolving around Christianity for Christmas, it's kind of unique. So I'm wondering if that has a influence on why they don't openly advertise about candlelight. But again, if you're walking through the park, you'll just see this huge roped-off section in Main Square? Main Street. But at that big open square, they have the Christmas tree there. They have a full stage set up in front of the train station, and they're not just like any kind of chairs. They look like super duper fancy white chairs that are made out of oak and painted
like
white. I mean,
Shivari chairs, the chairs that you pay like $200 a chair for like a wedding, and then people
no IKEA chairs.
No. These are chairs that they get you, and you're just like, really? I mean, does anyone care about what their ass is sitting on at a wedding?
Well, and the red carpets are out, and the only thing that we're missing are honestly the cameras to broadcast the event. I mean, it was really interesting to see and be at least witness with my eyes and know that, man, it must be nice. I mean, with all that aside, Disneyland is actually really special during Christmas. The only bad side, it got really cold on our last 2 days there. It was really windy. There's some fires going on down there right now too. So,
yeah, were you getting any smoke action?
We were not, but on the way back, driving up north to California, we got a little bit of it. But we drove right through it. Took an extra hour or two because of traffic, but that wasn't too bad, to be honest. One more thing I wanted to bring up on Disneyland, with knowing that all three of us are huge Star Wars fans. I won't spoil too much, but I only rode Star Tours once. And when I did, they actually had a special, I guess, version of Star Tours. I got a sneak peek at one of the locations in the new movie called Crate. It's the salt flats or the desert mine, or you'll see in the commercials where there's just looks like a big salt flat field, and when the speeders are going through it, they're kind of trudging up like red looking kind of dirt. Yeah. It's actually salt. Yeah, it's from a salt mine. But it was pretty neat that I got a sneak preview of the movie, and I got to technically kind of be in it as part of Star Tours.
Nice.
I had a super geek out moment where I was freaking out when the whoever the gal that was working it, she at least prepped us. She said, "Hey, we're going on a special trip today. We're going to go to a planet we've never been before." And I said, "Great!" And then she kind of pointed at me, and I laughed because I started geeking out at that moment, and everyone just thought I was crazy. I was there with sister-in-law, and then she was laughing at how much everyone was looking at me and didn't know what I was freaking out about. But it was a nice little sneak peek at the movie. And at the very end of the ride, I got a sneak peek of the new Star Wars land that's supposed to open up in, is it 2019, Trey?
Something like that.
Yeah, so the way the ride ends, you end up docking at the new Star Wars land. So I didn't know what I was looking at at first, and then kind of had someone explain it to me after, but I wish I paid more close attention to it.
Anyway, was that talking specifically about like that Millennium Falcon ride, or what?
No. Well, if you've been on Star Tours, spoiler, you know that at the end of every ride, so I think there's 3 segments in each ride that you go on, or each version.
Something like that. And they're always random.
And in the last segment, you always end up landing at some kind of spaceport or some kind of dock or something of that nature. This one just happened to be in a place you'd never seen before, and it was a landing dock at the new Star Wars land. Huh. And there's a bunch of BB-8 type units rolling around everywhere, and I was like, this is not any of the movies I've ever seen.
Is that supposed to stick, or is this like it's just a temporary thing?
I did not ask those questions, and I don't know at this point. But
I think the last time I went on Star Tours was probably like 2014 when Captain EO was right next to it. Maybe that was earlier.
2004.
Oh, when they brought that back for a minute?
Yep. Hee.
They brought back Captain EO?
No. I'm talking back in the day.
Like 19.
No, it wasn't that long ago, right? When they brought back Captain EO for maybe, I don't know, 1 year.
No way, dude. I don't remember.
It's in that theater right next to Space Mountain. They brought that back for about a year or so.
Yeah,
it's called Path of the Jedi right now. It's basically Star Wars behind the scenes, cut to look like it's part of a documentary that talks to you as if it was in character. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what it is. I feel like it's just a bunch of B footage they decided to use for this ride.
You can basically just call it like an extended trailer.
Yeah, an extended trailer.
Marketing. They're marketing you at every place.
They actually seem to do that now for like every major Disney release. They always seem to have like some kind of preview thing in there, in that theater. Like they've done it for Big Hero 6.
I didn't know that.
They did it for Force Awakens. What else did they do that for? I can't remember what other movies, but every time they have like a really big movie coming out, they always have like a preview thing in that theater.
And this is Disney?
Yeah.
Well, every movie comes out, it's huge, it's big. It's big, it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, the mouse is huge, man. Mouse is taking over the world.
I don't know, and that begs the question now, right? Like, so some news that broke also during this week was, or at least the last week, is the talks of Disney buying 21st Century Fox, right?
Really?
Or certain assets of 21st Century Fox.
Yeah, they're looking to get the TV and film. Like, they're not taking the sports. No. I think they're only taking TV and film stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, we talked. Yeah, that's right. I heard about that.
And I think there were initial talks however many months ago. I don't think there's anything solid, but the ultimate objective of Fox is that they want to become mainly a sports and news station.
Yep.
So they'd be looking to do away with anything of their entertainment production companies. So,
and according to rumors, they are very close to coming out with with an announcement about this. Could be in the next few days or sometime.
What this big element would be, like, because Deadpool isn't like Deadpool. One of theirs.
Deadpool, X-Men, Fantastic Four, like that could all come back into the MCU.
Yeah, so they're trying to bring. I almost feel like that's the bigger play is to bring in.
Oh, absolutely.
Is to bring in the comic book angle. There's not much else I can think of that Fox. I mean, 21st Century Fox has. I mean, I'm looking at Google right now. I guess if you want Trolls, and Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Alvin and the Chipmunks in New York, and
21st Century Fox is DreamWorks. DreamWorks is underneath 21st Century Fox.
Yeah, because I'm seeing Boss Baby, so that's another element too.
Boss Baby, Shrek. They have a whole lot of extra properties.
Ice Age, Rio, Simpsons the movie.
I think that goes into Peanuts too. That they redid the Peanuts gang a few years ago, animated, and it was actually pretty decent. But that falls under DreamWorks. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know DreamWorks was under Fox.
Fantastic Four, yeah.
What's funny about all this, as Dre and I get excited about this acquisition by Disney, what's funny is that it's technically still Marvel rejoining Marvel, and it's something similar that we saw with Spider-Man. How Spider-Man had been licensed out to Sony, and Marvel through Disney got a chance to, reacquaint Spider-Man character into the current Marvel Cinematic Universe or MCU. So there's a lot of implications if you're a Marvel fan, right, Dre? Like, we're coming up on the big release in the next year of Avengers 3, which is technically supposed to, and Marvel movies aren't really your thing, but are you at least familiar with how they classified all the releases into phases? Like Marvel Phase 1 was like Iron Man, the very first Iron Man that was released. Then the second wave of Marvel movies they called Phase 2, and I can't remember, Jay, if Thor was part of that or not, but they systematically.
Thor 2 was part of Phase 2.
Okay, all right, but Phase 1 was like an introduction to all the characters, and then Phase 2 they would advance a collective storyline while advancing the individual storylines. So we're coming up on, is it Phase 3 now that we're ending or starting with Avengers 3?
I think Infinity War should be wrapping up Phase 3.
Okay. So Marvel, as they're approaching this Phase 4, Ed, the talk is that Phase 4 is supposed to be kind of the end of it all. Nothing has ever really been done like this before, where they have, a dozen plus movies, all telling a collective story that's supposed to culminate at some point, and we're starting to get there. So now if we're talking about Disney reacquiring all these old Marvel properties, like the X-Men, who are actually the A-team. X-Men in the comic books, selling in popularity, X-Men had always been Marvel's A-team. Mm-hmm. The Avengers, Iron Man, all those guys, that was the B-team / C-team. Then you have Guardians of the Galaxy, who was the D team, who no one had any interest in. But somehow on the screen, they got it to work. Even more so than the A team got recognized with Fox doing the production movies. So for them to be reacquired by Disney, we could potentially see a huge second wave of comic book movies. And maybe it's time for you to get on board and finally start watching these things.
No, I mean, there's too many stories that I can care less about. I think I probably would actually watch a season of the Vanderpups straight through versus trying to catch up on some characters I don't really care about. And I don't know about you guys, but when I hear about a movie that has multiple comic book people in one, not X-Men, but
we're gonna team up movie.
Yeah, we're going to have Captain America, we're going to have Batman, and we're going to have Spider-Man. I'm just like, this is dumb. Like really? Like, this is like the Warriors going out on the court and playing all these regular season games. Like, I mean, they're gonna wipe everybody, and if you try to have a storyline where someone else is beating them, it's totally ridiculous and it's not believable.
You'd be surprised at how effective Marvel's been with all their storytelling in these movies over the last 10 years. I mean, nobody ever thought that an Avengers movie would ever work. Like, no one thought you could take, multiple superheroes, put them on the same screen and have it work. And Marvel figured it out and nailed it first time out the bat, or out the gate.
Who are the bad guys?
Every single time.
Who are the bad guys? Like, who are the bad guys? Are they even formidable in any way?
If you're familiar with the Marvel lore, then yeah. I mean, you figure like the new movie coming out, the Infinity War movie, Thanos is like the villain in this one. He's like the bad of the bad. I mean, this is the universe as we know it. And that's going to be like a big threat coming up in this new movie.
Is he like the bad of the bad, but when he gets to the point where he has the hero and he's ready to take him down, does he sit there and talk about like, this is my plan?
Oh, no. No, see,
does he do the Bond?
You can watch the trailer. You can watch the trailer and you can see that Thanos is like the first like villain that we're going to have in the MCU that doesn't yell, doesn't get all carried away and excited when he's talking to you. He's such a badass that he's going to come at you with that low, calm tone because he knows he's about to jack you up. I mean, this is going to be the first Marvel movie that we see where you're going to have multiple heroes that we've grown to love over the last 10 years are going to start dying off.
Oh,
we don't know who, we don't know how many, but they're going to start getting killed off by this guy.
Oh, this is the time for me to go watch that movie and just bypass everything else.
Yes.
Oh, I want him to die.
Yes.
He has just anger issues. Like, why is he a hero? Like, why is he
angry?
He's just like a horrible role model for kids. I don't know how he's a hero. So he needs to go down.
Ed doesn't smash?
No. So he needs to be done. Who else? Who's another? I mean, Iron Man. He's just rich dude with like a big suit. Like, take him down too.
But see, you got to keep in mind too, Ed. Like this whole success that Marvel's had with these films started with Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. is like the heart and soul of the entire MCU. So actually, hell, if they did kill him off, I mean, guy, you talk about like the emotional like impact it's gonna be to the fans.
I did watch Iron Man in a theater.
You didn't like it?
I mean,
It's complex, don't you?
Yeah, I want like the Tyrone Biggins. I want him to be a superhero, like that guy. I want some.
I would rather see a Pootie Tang franchise than the MCU.
Now, that's I've heard on Pootie Tang.
The PTU, the Pootie Tang universe.
Well, and it sounds like you've got a preconceived bias to kind of superhero. So knowing that, did you watch the Christopher Nolan Batman series trilogy?
Which one was the first one?
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins. Christian Bale was the Batman for this trilogy.
Which is the one? Which one? That Joker like goes around and cuts people's mouths.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that was
in my the best.
I mean, food on Batman. Yeah. Those were actually really good, and I like them. Those three were really good.
And I think the reason why you really did enjoy those is those movies, Nolan did a good job. Christopher Nolan did a great job of layering superhero on top of a good crime movie. Mm-hmm. You could have taken out the main villain's name was Joker and just gave him some crazy killer name, and you have turned Batman into a Jack Bauer super agent, and the movie still would have worked. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he pulled that off over a trilogy and made it work is what got people to say, yeah, I like superhero movies. But that's not really what genuine superhero movies were, at least as they were conceived as part of comic books and then transferred to the screen.
That was one of the first ones that was like really grounded in reality too. I mean, it wasn't, there's no flashiness, like there's no Batman suit with crazy nipples on it and, cod pieces. I mean, it was just like legit grounded in reality where it could have just been like, the average Joe just like putting on this costume and fighting against crime.
I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, that's how you're going to hook me in on a storyline is when you have a villain that is so reckless and just very unpredictable that you actually think to yourself, The good guy might lose because like this guy doesn't give a you know what.
Right.
Like this guy is super reckless, and you also think maybe not our villain, but anyone who's a sub character, like he'll kill them in a second, and you're gonna be like, what happened? And then it's gonna cause that superhero to have that rage and have to battle internally. Are they going to go against all their values? Like I like those elements because you feel like there's more at risk versus the villain that's just the face. It's like, oh, I do bad stuff, but I'm like, I'm kind of dumb. I'm kind of dumb.
So Ed, this is exactly why you need to go watch the Avengers Infinity War movie, because that's what kind of tone you're going to have with that movie.
Is it on Netflix?
It'll be in theaters in May, homie.
No, just any of the Avengers.
No.
That's a good question. I don't think
Actually,
Avengers is on Netflix.
I don't know
think
because like
it's on streaming.
that Disney deal didn't kick in until late last year, so I don't know if that's. I don't think it is up there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I got an Error 404 page for the Avengers movie.
Well, if villains are your thing, I will warn you that Marvel does have a perceived issue with villains that are kind of weak. Like the story is usually focused on the main hero and their struggle of some kind, and the villains typically are just the MacGuffin, right?
Yeah.
They're just the obstacle to get the hero to overcome something to advance their story and their growth of some kind.
It sounds like CSI Miami.
And well, Marvel is known for that, and that's why there's a lot of excitement for this new Avengers movie coming out, Avengers 3, because this is the big bad villain that's been teased since the very first, or was it the second, Marvel movie that was ever made, that he was coming, and he's going to be here soon. And like Dre was saying, that this villain has some weight to it. I mean, our heroes will actually be scared of this villain. And it's kind of neat to see all these Marvel movies all come together in one. So all of these characters, Guardians of the Galaxy, you name it, everybody in the Marvel Universe should make a cameo or at least an appearance in name. I know, but that if you're not going to watch any one of them, sure, why not? Go ahead and start with Avengers 3 as your first one.
Looks like Captain America Civil War is the only one that's on, looks like, Netflix.
Really good movie.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I think it's pretty good, too. And so that's, as we were talking about how Nolan did a good job of grounding the reality in layering superhero on it. That's been Marvel's challenge, is how do we still keep the superheroes authentic but ground it in ways that's unique. And I think they do a good job of that. Not all the time, not every movie, but especially something like Civil War, you're like, this is stupid. Why are they going to be fighting? They're supposed to be friends. They do a good job of legitimately creating a conflict between Captain America and Iron Man. You actually believe, yeah, this guy actually believes in what he's doing. They're not just fighting over because, our mothers have the same name or something like that.
Martha.
Right. But, are you familiar with that?
My Norma's better than your Norma.
I mean, it's tough because, I always loved Superman and Batman, but how that whole movie took place, that's a whole nother cast. I don't want to get into that. We'll talk about that another day. I can't.
We should come up with our own comic book label. I think we can compete. Let's see what type of characters we have. Like, we need to have, I got a good character. This guy named Timmy, he was bit by a rabbit that had rabies. And then now he's the Hopper. That's his name. He's a Hopper. And he can jump from place. And then he just will gnaw you to death like you're a carrot. Like, that's his persona. All right. I think, we should go with the
Timmy the Hopper.
Yeah. We should, and I'm thinking all of our comic book heroes, they're somehow bit by an animal. The animal doesn't die because we don't want Peter to get upset, but they just take this persona. We have to get a sloth. Oh, we got to get a sloth, So, like, he's super slow, and everyone's like, oh, whatever, it's a sloth. But, like, all of a sudden, he has super sloth powers, which makes him fast.
Cool. They'll be the Zoo Vengers.
Oh my gosh.
You're just gonna get random animals too. Like, people have to like Google the animal or the type of animal. Like, someone who's a marsupial. That sounds like a cool name. You guys don't sound. All right, I'll work on it by myself. You get no royalties.
I wasn't I mean, I'm always a fan for creative output, but I don't know about starting a whole comic book label based on that idea you just laid out. That doesn't sound like a good launch pad.
We're gonna have our own Comic Con, and it's gonna be in Montana, and no one's gonna go to San Diego. They're gonna come to our Comic Con because we're gonna have comic books for real people. Real people. Just think about it.
I will, and we'll have plenty of time to think about it. Hey, we're at the 52-minute mark, so it sounds like a good kind of segue or stopping point, a segue to our next episode, whenever that happens. It's been fun chatting. I know it's an open forum, so it's kind of hard to really follow any structure and cover everything we want to talk about, but let's do some takeaways for next time. I know, Ed, you wanted to talk for next time about what's been happening with the royal fam, right?
That's not going to go on it. Yeah, that topic, you can talk about that for weeks.
Right.
Something ridiculous is going to come up.
Have they actually set like a date yet or anything like that? Or is it just, nope, just they got engaged, that's it?
I don't know. The big deal is about Prince Harry's wife or fiance hanging out with the Queen, and apparently it's a 3-day event. So, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about after they have tea multiple times over a course of multiple days. And do they even celebrate? Are they celebrating like the birth of Christ or Jesus? Or are they just celebrating the Queen? I feel like it's the latter.
That would be a good thing to research in between episodes.
That Jesus character, he has nothing. He could even hold a cup of tea for me.
And it sounds like something that we would appreciate if you gathered some history behind the Church of England and their practices around the holidays.
Yeah, I will look into it. Do they serve pumpkins or do they have tea? And we could talk about IPAs too. Indian Pale Ales are not from India. They're from England. We'll talk about it later.
They're from England?
Yes. This is called a teaser. You're going to be thinking about it. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I want to know the answer.
Well, as long as you have the answers, so when we actually do talk about it, you can at least enlighten us. That would be very much appreciated.
Locked away in my head. Google won't even tell you.
Sweet. All right, man. It's been fun, fellas, for everybody's favorite tweet hero, Dre, EddieMac himself, and Major Pancakes. Episode 1 in the books. We did it, fam. We're here. We're going to be here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and we can actually keep chatting afterwards. But
peace.
We'll catch you.